How are you doing? Hope you enjoyed your Easter break. Hope you read something, at least a book, and I hope you're well rested. And I hope that your reading goals you are striving towards achieving them. Who would have thought the year is running so fast and we're already at the tail end of April? And I hope you are also achieving your goals like you desire. And I hope you are implementing the strategies that I've talked about and finding your own way around reading. So today I have a very interesting book I'll be discussing with another interesting guest. I chose this book because I felt like this is an aspect of society that we talk about, but few books have really talked about it. And this issue of 419, Yahoo Yahoo, and all the names that we can call it has really come to paint the nation black, and every Nigerian or many Nigerians outside the country are basically labeled to be internet fraudsters. And so I decided it was time for me to look for a book that addressed some of these issues, of course, in the wake of the Hush Puppy saga and all the criminal activities going on around the country, and how many young boys have become fraudsters, as we can call them, the Yahoo Yahoo guys. So I have an interesting guest with me in the studio. His name is Ogunsola Segun, and we will be discussing a wonderful book, I Do Not Come to You by Chance, by Adaobi Tricia Nwabani. She is a very wonderful writer. I think this was her debut novel, and when I gave it to my guest to read, he sent me a message. I think the day after or 2 days after that, it was a book he couldn't drop. And of course, I keep telling you guys on this channel that I recommend the best books. Yes, so this is the book we'll be looking at together. So just sit back, you're going to have a good time with myself and Segun Ogunsola. And if you have not liked this video, subscribed, or even shared with your friends, please do so. Turn on the notification bell and stay abreast of all the videos I'll be bringing you about books. Remember, the goal of Bookish Reflections is to discuss how the issues that books raise, especially as it regards society. We have always known that books mirror society, and so I'm always excited when I get to discuss many issues through amazing characters and amazing stories. So follow me to the studio as I discuss with Segun Ogunsola. Thank you. Okay. Hi, Segun. Thank you for joining me. Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very fine. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so the private chat we had about this book, you were like you couldn't drop the book when you read it. So tell me, well,
Yeah, yeah.
already I have already spilled how you felt about the book, but let people hear from you. How was the book? How did you find it?
Well, it was my first fiction in a long while, so I really enjoyed the book. And the thing I like most about it is that it's very relatable, to the Nigerian context or the Nigerian environment, even to friends. Apart from when I say Nigerian environment now, I don't mean something that is like far off, I
Mhm.
mean something that is relatable to me and some of my friends. And then generally too, you could relate it to life too in a way, I mean it's even life, but you could relate it to things other than just fraudsters.
Yeah, the book covered a lot generally, especially about the Nigerian society. We'll be talking about that much later as we talk, as we discuss. But who is your favorite character?
Who is my favorite? I'll say my favorite is my favorite is um I'll say Catch Daddy.
Yes, Cash Daddy. You know, he I don't even know. Well, Kingsley is the main character, but Cash Daddy has such an influence in the book. Anyway, for those who do not know the story, let me try to do a synopsis, a little summary about what the book what the book is centered on. So there is this the book starts with Augustina getting married to Kingsley's father, how the marriage came about, how Kingsley, the main character, his father was the so-called celebrated scholar of the family, and how he went abroad and went to school and met Kingsley's mother, and then Kingsley's mother, you know, basically owed him a lot, because in those days for a woman to finish school was such a was not such a big deal. So it was like after her secondary school, even her secondary school, the nun had to come and make an appeal to her dad to allow her continue school. So she went to school. Then later they were like, oh, she should go and learn sewing and learn a trade and prepare to get married. And then Kingsley's father comes around, decides that he will marry her on the condition that she will go to the university and then finish her studies. So, and we read about how difficult it was for her to bring forth to have a child, and then Kingsley is born. And then we see the struggles of this family, how they were able to navigate difficult parts. What difficult parts? And what was more intriguing in the book was that despite Kingsley's father's educational background, he still lived in penury. As a civil servant, you would expect that with all his education outside the country, he would be doing so much better, but that was not what happened. And so he had high hopes for his children, because after Kingsley, there were other children that came around. And so Kingsley finishes from the university, and it sort of looks like he's going towards the path of his father, because there are no job opportunities. And then we get to meet Cash Daddy. So if you have not read
Yeah,
the
catch
book,
that.
you have not read the book, you have to, because I cannot afford to tell every detail. I can't give spoilers here, but that is just to give a background to the story. So, you know why when you said Cash Daddy was your favorite character, I didn't blame you much, because he had such a presence in the book, and there was a
Exactly. It was larger than life.
yes, he was larger than life. And in spite of all his bragado and wealth and all of that, I still feel like Cash Daddy had a tenderness to him. There was a human side to him. You saw the way he rallied around Kingsley and his family when Kingsley's father was in the hospital, and how much
Yeah.
he wanted to help Kingsley, although his
Yes.
idea of help was not the moral idea of help. But he told him, he said, look at yourself. Where has your schooling gotten you to? Where has all your father's grammar and all of that, where has it gotten him
Was
to? And
true.
if I made a lot, he raised a lot of questions that many Nigerians ask themselves on a
Every
day-to-day
day. True.
basis. So now my question to you is
Yeah.
that, with the way the author wrote this story and the things that happen, her central message, what do you think she was trying to push to her readers eventually?
So for me, so I had friends when I was in school who, when we talk, they say stuff like, I can never be an internet fraudster. And when life hits them, some of them actually went into it.
Hmm.
So one of the things that struck me in this book is that, it's not one thing that like breaks you. Sometimes it's a lot of things. And sometimes people don't see those things. So now, of course, definitely it's wrong. It's very wrong, internet fraud and all. But I mean, like I said in the beginning, that these were things like really relate to, because I had friends that could swear with their life that they would never do it. But then few years down the line, I see them. So this book kind of gave me a lot of insight into a lot of things that might break someone. So I think different things that the book was trying, like that I got from the book, is that a lot of times it's not one thing that like breaks you. A lot of things can just happen and it overwhelms you, and whatever you think you might not do might be the thing you might need to do to survive. Number
Yeah.
two, I think fraudsters never repent, they never stop. Because Kingsley, even why he got money, why he set up his business, it was still more or less like a font to push his gig. Because if you see the end, you know how the ending was. So
Yes, yes, you can't say
I
the
was like,
end. You
no,
can't
no,
say the
no.
end here. People have to go and read it and not get the spoilers.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's why I say like that. So and then what else?
Yeah.
one of the things I tell people when I talk to them is that the way you know is the way you show someone. Like if you were to come and meet me and say, "How do I get to this place?" What I know is what I'll tell you. So, which
Yeah.
means also to put it plain is that whatever values I have is what I'll show to people that are around me.
Yeah.
You know. So, Chief Daddy now, I mean, Cash Daddy. If it was probably someone that had very good values and it was well to do, we probably have shown Kingsley how to do things in the right way. But he was a fraudster, and that was how he made his money. So when someone comes and says, "Come and help me," he'll be like, "This is why I do. Come and join me. That's the only help I have to do for you."
Yeah.
So that's also something I took away from the book. So
For
for
me,
yourself, if
I
not for
yeah.
yourself, so if not for yourself, for your children, and then for those that are around you, try to have good values for them.
Yeah. For me, when I read this book, I felt the author just wanted to let us see the reality of living in Nigeria, how much the society is a major factor in pushing people to making these decisions. I mean, Kingsley is a graduate. He graduated well, and
Was
he
well
knows,
brought up too.
well brought up with good values from a good home,
Yes.
and then sadly he lost the love of his life because he was not the ideal graduate
And do
bachelor.
you know what's funny? A lot of guys can relate to that actually.
Really?
A lot of guys can relate to that. So for a
In
lot of
fact,
guys, when
I
they
pitied him.
yeah, me
I
too, I did.
I pitied him because he really loved what's her name again? Why am I forgetting? Is it
Yeah, me
is it Obi or something? I must remember at some point. Well, he lost her. Ola, Ola,
I was
yes.
thinking one Yoruba name like that.
No,
Yeah, very
Ola. He
painful.
lost her because she, I think, also made that decision out of pressure from her mother to also like get married and make a life for yourself. How
Parents.
long are you going to wait for Kingsley to land this oil job? In those days, it's like oil was the in thing, and if you could land in an oil company and all of that, you are made and set for life. I wish that were the
Yeah,
case
true.
now. Anyway, so he lost the love of his life because he couldn't be the big guy her parents or her mother wanted for her. So sad. And these are the things that. So I said society. I think the author was trying to show that society plays a major role in
In these
pushing.
things,
Yes, in pushing young people into some of
yes.
this criminal acts. So now, the mind of a fraudster. Just reading and hearing the thoughts of Cash Daddy it was hilarious. At the same time, it was kind of a reflection of a frustrated man, a man who was done with living by the books and not getting what he desired, and that was the good life. So,
Well, is
what
it
did you?
is it Chief Daddy?
Yes,
I mean,
Cash Daddy, Cash Daddy.
Well, I don't. I,
Yes,
I don't think. I don't think Cash Daddy has always lived by the rules, though. Do you remember
yes,
when it was
yes.
when it
So I
was
should talk
staying in the
about
shop?
Kingsley in that way. It's Kingsley that should be more fitting in that way. Yes. When he
Yeah,
was younger, he
exactly.
was a crook.
When he was
He has
younger, he was a
started.
crook. Yes, yes. He started filling waters into bottle and selling
Yes, yeah, that's
in
true.
Kingsley's
That's
mom
very,
shop. So that one has been a fraudster since small. So when they chased him out, he just went like learn work from from the bigger fraudster. So that one has
yeah,
always been a crook from small.
yes. And I think another aspect of it was that why Cash Daddy did what he did. I mean, looking at things from his own point of view, was that look, it's like the value that the society places on education at the end of the day is not worth it.
True.
Somebody was doing a comparison of people, if you go for competitions or no, the bigger prizes and the bigger cash prizes don't go to things in the educational world. It is when you go into
True.
the entertainment sector that you win. You There's a reward for other things, so to speak. But when you say, "Oh, these educational competitions, whether it's a spelling bee or this or that, or how many of these competitions within the education sector do we even have?" So like Cash Daddy just rubbished all his accomplishments, all his father's accomplishments, and then
True.
talked about how education is not valued. Do you have a feeling that he is correct in that, with that line of assertion?
Well, in Nigeria, he is actually correct because, for example, see Kingsley, for example. No, even what Kingsley faced in that book. What happened to Kingsley is something that happens to is something that every Nigerian, every young Nigerian can relate to. Kingsley was well educated, was top of his class, and then he wrote exams, to enter into the oil companies, which if it were by merit, he would actually have
Mm,
gotten in. But because of a
yeah,
lot of all these leg stuffs in Nigeria, where people that are not merit of things, they get it because they know somebody.
yeah.
So yeah, so that is what actually spoils a lot of the value that should be on education
Mm,
for us in Nigeria.
yeah. Then with that would make us look at our value system, what we value.
Yeah.
Cash Daddy would receive more respect, even though he's a very crude man. I mean, he's crude.
Yes. Very,
If you want
very
to talk about
crude.
refined, he's not refined at all. He will
At
get
all.
more respect than Kingsley's father, who has the international education and all of that. And yes,
Yeah.
that brings us to the value system. So my what I would like us to quickly look at is Kingsley as a well, you've talked about that as the fact that you said when you read it, you were able to identify with Kingsley, and many youths could identify. If you were to advise Kingsley, what would have been your advice? Because that was a young man who was searching for direction, so much so that he even went to church to go and pray. Like he
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
frustrated. He took a
Like
you had this he took this these people that share leaflets and
pamphlets. Yeah,
pamphlets,
yeah,
and he
yeah.
said, oh,
Yeah.
maybe his problem is spiritual, and he went to church and he was
Church.
disappointed in what he saw in the church. And so how would you have advised a young man starting out in life like Kingsley? What would have been your words to him if you were to meet a
Well,
Kingsley, or if you have met one and you have had the opportunity to talk to the person? What did you say?
to be honest, I actually put myself in Kingsley's position, and I don't think I could have done better. To be honest, I feel if I was Kingsley at that point, when a lot of things were happening to me, for example, at that point, his dad was sick, he needed money to pay bills. At that point, it was the opera. I learned
Yeah.
that Igbo word. It was the opera. He had a lot of responsibilities, so to say, sending his children ones to school and stuff like that. Is that his mom was out of job, so everything
Yeah.
falls on him at that point. He just got his ass broken because he doesn't have money. He doesn't even have it doesn't have anything because everything he was supposed to get by merit based on that he had finished
Mm,
out of school. None of it were coming. So he had nothing to do. So if I was Kingsley, to be honest, I don't think I could have done better. I probably would have followed Cash Daddy. But if I was not Kingsley, and I was someone out of the picture, someone that was doing good, and I wanted to advise him, I'll tell him, you know what, just keep trying,
mm,
just keep trying, pray to God. One day you have it way, just find something to do. But then later when he got comfortable, I would have told him, maybe she just try to leave this thing and then try to grow your business kind of thing. But at that point that it was, if I was Kingsley, I don't think I would have done better.
yeah. The funny thing, I can't counter your argument, or I'm still thinking of how to counter it, because the problems on the shoulder of that guy
Yeah,
was so overwhelming. It was such a
I don't,
burden.
yes. And one
But
of the things
funny
that,
thing,
that
okay,
okay. So one of the things that struck me in the book, which Kingsley said, was that Cash Daddy was someone that was a fraudster, and was making a lot of money. So he sends his children to top top league schools. And then Kingsley said, these guys' children, they are going to be the aristocrats of tomorrow that will come and rule us, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the truth of things. Now, see
Mm.
Kingsley's dad, so educated and all. See, what if Kingsley had not followed Cash Daddy, he would probably have been like a low income earner
Yeah.
or something, and then the trend of the fraudsters would have been like the aristocrats coming to rule all of them. And that is what we have in this country currently.
Yeah. You're very right with that. And I was trying to locate a page in the book where uh Cash Daddy had a conversation. Kingsley was, when he first got into the business, he could not believe they were what they were doing. Like, it, that's talking about the mind of a fraudster. When he first started, he was quite afraid. Like, one of the persons they were trying to rip off was a lady who was taking money from her savings to buy a house with her fiance or something like that, and she was
Yes,
falling for their scams, and then Kingsley was like telling Cash Daddy that, why don't you think we should stop now? Like, this is a lady who is putting so much. And then Cash Daddy asked, is she your mother? Is she your sister? In fact, is she from your village? Who is she to you that you should? And that struck me as in the minds of these people, they feel like, as long as it does not hurt me, I don't care. And then that points to the selfishness and greed that covers this whole business, this 419 scam and all of that. And so selfishness is inherent in man, greed is inherent in man. And the thing is that once Kingsley started, his conscience died.
it's very hard to stop.
It's
It's
very,
very
like you
hard to
said,
stop
it is
actually.
very, very hard to stop. So now that it is very hard to stop, is there a way forward, especially for Nigeria that is colored with this particular crime? Everybody talks about Nigeria all over the world. There was a hush puppy case, and then suddenly we have more cases. We now have more people reporting Nigerians about internet fraud and all of that. And this has been a thing that has characterized our nationality, our nation, So is is there a way to stop this? Can it ever stop?
Well, I think it can't stop because it can stop because it's going to be very wrong to say it can't stop. you know no, it can stop. It's just going to take a lot of work. And one of the things it's going to take is for our value system to really change. Because if you think about it, when people like Kingsley, for example, he was one of the best minds, you know, but he
Yeah.
couldn't get a job by merit, which a lot of best minds in Nigeria cannot do. So, which means most of our best minds they go into crime to make ends meet, and then people that are not that are on merit, they get the jobs, and then what do they do? They do rubbish, and then the
Yeah.
best minds resort to crime to make ends meet. So it's actually a lose lose for everybody. The people that are getting job don't know what to do. The best minds are in crime, which means they are doing the crime very well, and then people
Yeah.
that are supposed to get the job done, they are not doing anything. So it's
Cash Daddy
actually a
actually
lose lose.
alluded to
There's
that.
nobody that is winning.
Yes. I
Yes,
said Cash
there's
Daddy
nobody
actually
that is
alluded to
winning
that. He
in
told
the
Kingsley,
game.
say you're a smart guy. Let me bring you into my business. You're a
Yes, now.
smart person.
Exactly. And actually, Kingsley made a lot of money for Cash Daddy, more than the other people that didn't go to school. He made a lot of money for
Yeah.
Cash Daddy. Cash Daddy promoted when Cash Daddy was wanted to go into politics. Was like, come and take my place because he knew he was smart.
Yeah.
So of course things can change, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to be that our values as a nation has to change first, and definitely starts with everyone. It starts with everyone. So till our values change, nothing will change.
Yeah. I can't argue with that. Until our values change, nothing will change. We're going
Yes.
to end this discussion with something I read on Twitter, and I can't forget it. Someone said, I think a Japanese was having a discussion with a Nigerian, and the person was so amazed at the honesty of Japanese and how down to earth they can be, and how much they hold their personal integrity, how much they value their personal integrity. And this person was sharing a story on Twitter that he left his laptop at the park, or he kind of forgot it or something, and the driver that was taking him home told him that, don't worry, the park will be closed by now, but tomorrow we'll get your laptop. And he was saying, tomorrow, wouldn't it be too late, wouldn't it have been stolen? And lo and behold, he got there, everything was intact where he had left it. And then somebody, whether he started a conversation with someone or so, I can't remember very well. But one of the things the person said is that in Nigeria, the hero in your folk tales is the tortoise. The person you celebrate is the tortoise, and you celebrate him for his trickery, or for his slyness, and you complain when Nigerians are tagged tricky and sly. And it just struck me on a whole level, and I was like, what? I never thought of it that way. And I began to sit back to think about every story of the tortoise. The truth of the matter is that he is a trickster. He's very dishonest, but he's always the one. Although he always has consequences at the end of the day, but the fact that the focus is on him, you know, on his trickery, rather than create a character that is more known for honesty and obedience and to the law and all of that. But we have a character that is celebrated and enjoyed for his trickery, and that really struck me as to the Japanese tweaking a bit at values, and how these things create a kind of mentality for young people. So let's round off with this. Would you recommend this book to anybody? I mean, would you recommend? Is this a book
Definitely, I
you
would.
would
I would.
definitely recommend? You will. Thank you
Yes, I
so
would. Yeah,
much.
very nice book.
And so I have this question I wrote down. The way we celebrate wealth in Nigeria, in Africa, is that not a factor? I mean, before I just remembered I was going to ask this question. See, if you are wealthy in Nigeria, nobody gives a damn where you get the money from. You will be. Somebody
Yeah.
was saying that if Hush Puppy were in Nigeria, nobody they would have caught it. It would have been cruising, as he
Well,
can buy the whole state government and all of that. Do you think we do that a
well,
lot?
I think we do that. Yeah, I think we do that. We do that. But I think they do it everywhere, though. It's just that with
Mm.
Nigeria, in Nigeria, because our values are because our value system is not so good, you know, when we get to know this guy. So, for example, someone is wealthy, you know, you really don't know if they are into, maybe, for example, you don't know if they are into shady stuff or not, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely you are going to celebrate their wealth, you know. A lot of people, let's hang out, because most likely it's even someone that spends a lot on them. If someone is wealthy and he doesn't spend for people, they'll probably not recognize him in a way. You understand? So when someone is wealthy and he spends a lot, they'll probably recognize him. But the problem is that in saner countries, if someone is wealthy, or even has fame, and it comes to light that there's something shady about him, everybody draws back. You know,
Mm.
everybody starts renouncing, like, we remove this guy from our group of so. This guy has been suspended. But in Nigeria, everybody just looks the other way, dies off, and life goes on.
Yes. Yes.
So the problem is not really that people celebrate wealth, is that when shady stuff comes to light, there are no consequences, you know. They
Mm.
get to like
Mm.
buy their way off, you know. So it brings the impression that once you are wealthy, you can get away with anything, and it's kind of true in Nigeria.
Yeah. I totally agree. I've had a very good time talking with you. So many things to unpack in this book. And so thank you for taking out time from your I know it was a very busy day for you. So thank you for taking out time to just talk with me and discuss this book. I'll call you again. Oh. Sure you wouldn't mind.
All right, all right. No, no, I wouldn't. I trust your book recommendations to be very good.
Yay! Please say it loud. Say it loud. Let them hear.
I said I
Oh
trust
my.
your recommendations to be very good.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I recommend good books. I recommend good books. I can shout it loud. I can shout it
definitely,
loud.
definitely.
It's we pride ourselves in that bookworms when we're able to recommend books and people love it. It's a very big feeling. So
Yeah,
thank you again. Thank you, Shago. It's
yeah,
been
you're
a
welcome.
pleasure. Thank you for sharing your time with me. So I'll see you another time.
All right,
Bye.
thank you very much. Bye.